Another week, another time the Packers aren't on the power rankings. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, a podcast where you don't have to be Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Is this getting easier, harder? I don't know, but we're in week 13 and I still don't know if any of these teams are good. Grossi, and today we are going to be ranking the top 10 teams in the NFL. And guess what, folks? Week 12, more chaos. That's right, we have massive upsets. We had the Jaguars taking down the Ravens. We had Josh Jacobs running all over the Seattle Seahawks. And we had the Bills almost losing to the Lions on Thanksgiving. No one knows what the hell is going on. So, with that being said, let's just get some normalcy going here. Starting off with number 10, you got... Oh, there's someone at the door. Oh, hey there, everybody. It's your good friend, Wildflower Turquoise. I thought that I would just take over for number 10 because finally getting out of the honorable mentions is the Washington Commanders. That's right, we got 10. Not a 10 out of 10 for the Sean Taylor statue, but it's a start. The Washington Commanders took down the little birdies, the Atlanta Falcons, and guess what? We just keep on winning. We're on a 3-game win streak. Everybody's now talking about us. And if the season ended today, we'd be in the playoffs. And I know that would sound crazy in the beginning of the year, or even week 4, or week 5. But here we are in week 13, and we're actually being talked about. In a good way. Brian Robinson deserves his own statue and not just a mannequin with how well he's been playing, and the defense has been doing a pretty good job too. Now, I won't get my hopes up because there's a lot of games left to be played, but right now, it just feels nice to sit in this comfy chair and say the Commanders are at number 10. And now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go do some ayahuasca with Aaron Rodgers. We're going on an adventure. Number 9, you got the New York Jets making their way back into the top 10, and it's because of one man and a defense. But that one man is Mike frackin' White. That's right. Yeah, Mike White is Robert Saleh's new favorite toy since Zach Wilson is broken.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
And the Jets really were able to get a glimpse of what their team could look like when they had an actual QB back there. And I'm not ready to make these grandiose statements about the Jets going to the playoffs or the Super Bowl, but Mike White did impress. 3 tutties, no interceptions, was moving the ball with ease against a bad Bears defense. And I'm curious to see how he's going to play against stronger defenses because we've seen this before from Mike White. He came in, he did really well, and then he threw like 4 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm not saying he's their savior, but they're going to be acting like he's their savior. The Jets do have an amazing defense, and I think one of the bigger spots besides Mike White was just showing how good Wilson was as a receiver. You saw him do pretty well under Zach Wilson, and he really thrived with 2 touchdowns under Mike White. And that's got to give some optimism to Jets fans because regardless of how this season goes, you definitely have some young pieces that are there. When Breece Hall returns, you have the receivers. Of course, the offensive line, when healthy, is pretty solid. And as I mentioned, the frackin' amazing defense. So Jets fans, you jump back into the top 10, and you got to be feeling pretty good today. Number 8, you got the kitty goes meow Cincinnati Bengals. You did it, Bengals. You beat the Tom Grossi rankings curse because, oh boy, every time that I was putting the Bengals in the top 10, they would lose, but nay, they did not because the Titans decided to go after your long snapper and give you the game, but you did it. The Bengals played really damn good run defense, really limiting Derrick Henry. And the only time that Derrick Henry broke one, he wound up fumbling on the 5-yard line, and it was a touchdown by Treylon Burks. But your defense did well. Offense, you're missing Jamar Chase, and you're also missing Joe Mixon. But P. Ryan played pretty well. T. Higgins was the star receiver on Sunday. And listen, it is only appropriate that Joe Burrow plays on the Bengals because apparently he's got that tiger blood.
How do you survive that?
Because I'm me.
I am who I thought I was.
You know, I got tiger blood, man.
And with the Ravens losing against the Jaguars, the Bengals could be the favorite to win a very meh AFC North.
Winning.
The Bengals should be getting healthier as time goes along, getting their superstars back. And who knows, maybe the Bengals will peak at the right time, but they take care of business. They continue to own the Tennessee Titans. And Kitty goes meow. Number 7, you got the Buffalo Bills. That's right, Bills. You're chilling at number 7 because, oh boy, that was scary against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. They were the first team since 2016 to win back-to-back games at Ford Field, which is just a sad stat. And I gotta give a shout out to the Detroit Lions because they gave it their all. And with a couple of different play calls, maybe they wind up winning that game. But that's kind of also a knock on the Buffalo Bills because the Bills, yeah, they allowed the Lions to hang around. Josh Allen had a costly turnover, and the offense just looks weird at times. And I think it's just consistency. They didn't really run the ball on Thursday. And on top of that, Josh Allen, he has his lows with interceptions and missing guys, and then he has his highs in which he's connected with Stephon Diggs to set up for the game-winning field goal. And listen, the Bills are still a good football team. They are injured right now. Von Miller suffering an injury, which is definitely not great for them, but the Bills should still be there come playoff time. I don't know if they're going to win their division because Miami is doing pretty freaking fracking well right now. But right now, they stay in the top 10. How long are they going to stay there? Only time can tell.
He's completely right.
He's motherfucking peanut butter and jealous.
Number 6, you got the purple incarnation of Satan. You got the Minnesota Vikings. And Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson somehow pull off a win yet again.
You can't keep getting away with it. You can't keep getting away with it!
The Vikings defeating the New England Patriots on primetime of all times. I thought Kirk Cousins was supposed to be bad on primetime. Really utilizing Justin Jefferson, who had a very, very quiet week against the Dallas Cowboys. Then again, their entire offense had a quiet week against the Dallas Cowboys a week prior. But looking pretty impressive against a good defense. The Patriots and Jets, I mean, they went back and forth with no offense, and it was all defense. And here, it was kind of a bit of a shootout. And the Vikings, listen, again, gotta give them props because they're finding ways to win. I do think that their defense, there's a little sus, just a little sus there. But I will say overall, I think the Vikings have proven to be a pretty solid football team. They can wrap up the division with a win next week and a Lions loss. Yeah, that does not feel good at all. But the Vikings continue to keep on rolling, and we'll see how far they get in the playoffs. Ugh. Number 5, you got the San Francisco 49ers jumping into the top 5. And guess what? Last week, I praised them for their offense. They demolished the Cardinals. They were utilizing every weapon. Elijah Mitchell. They were utilizing Deebo Samuel. They were utilizing Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. They were utilizing it all. And of course, Christian McCaffrey. And this week, they score 13 points against the New Orleans Saints. And once again, I find the 49ers to be boring. But listen, the offense is not consistent. And on top of that, the defense of the Saints is pretty good. They can't always go up against the Cardinals defense. But let's talk about what is consistent, and it is the San Francisco 49ers defense. That group is amazing, shutting out the New Orleans Saints after Andy Dalton looked like a god the previous week. forcing fumbles, Kamara fumbling a couple of times, miscues abound for a Saints offense that really is not that good. But the 49ers right now are in the lead of the NFC West. The Seahawks falling to the Raiders definitely helps them. I think the 49ers will be favorites to win. They just have to lock up that consistency on offense. Them going against the Dolphins will be a really exciting matchup because they're going to be trying to contain a high-powered offense featuring Tua, Waddle, Hill, and, of course, Jeff Wilson. Elijah Mitchell being ruled out for 6 to 8 weeks, so there's a chance he still comes back for a playoff run. But right now, the 49ers are in the top 5, regardless of how boring they are to watch. Number 4, you got the Dallas Cowboys. Well, the Cowboys just happen to be in a division where everybody is good this season, and they were able to take down the practice squad that was the New York Giants. And what's weird about this is I thought this could have been a blowout considering how they handled the Minnesota Vikings the previous week, but they allowed the Giants to hang around. And yes, it's a divisional game, so you never know, but I will say, the Cowboys, they need some consistency there. It was some good use of Zeke and Pollard. Zeke looking like the better back this week, and that's honestly just how Mike McCarthy should handle it. Whoever has the hotter hand, that's who you give the ball to. CeeDee Lamb had himself a nice day. And so the Cowboys continue to march on towards the playoffs. They don't have too difficult of a schedule left, though they will be playing some more divisional opponents. And right now, the Cowboys sit pretty at number 4. Number 3, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, who just felt like running. And they never stopped.
For no particular reason, I just kept on going. I ran clear to the ocean.
363 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts, 125 passing yards and 125 rushing yards in the first half alone. They had a game plan against the Packers, and the Packers just never stopped them. Jalen Hurts was an absolute stud. Miles Sanders absolutely ran all over him. The defense forced some interceptions, and they were able to take care of the Packers, in which was a pretty close game, but they were able to get back-to-back wins. They've had some weird hiccups over the past couple of weeks, losing to the Commanders, then, of course, going toe-to-toe with the Colts and barely winning against them. But the Eagles right now remain the number 1 seed in the NFC. There's definitely some doubts about them, but considering the craziness and the ineptitude of the majority of the NFC, I still think that they'll be able to roll into the playoffs and be successful. It's just gonna be a matter of what defense can actually stop Jalen Hurts and that offense. Number 2, you got the Miami Dolphins sticking at number 2. I almost put them at number 1, but they were going up against the Texans. And honestly, like, they didn't even have to do anything after halftime. They were just waiting for the Texans to throw in the towel. 30-0 in the first half. Tua, 22 for 36, 299 yards. A tutty, was sacked 4 times, which is a little bit concerning, but the Dolphins were able to get it done and really didn't have to do anything too flashy. They relied on their defense this week, and that's something that just shows that they're a balanced football team. As I said before, they have a matchup coming up with the 49ers, which should be really, really exciting, and also a Mostert and Jeff Wilson revenge game. And so right now, Dolphins sitting at number 2 with only 1 team ahead of them. And that team at number 1 continues to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It wasn't a blowout, which I think surprised a lot of people considering you basically got a 3rd-string QB back there for the Rams, but it wasn't a pretty game, and they still won by 16 points, which I think just speaks volumes to how much of a balanced football team the Kansas City Chiefs are. Relying on Pacheco, who has been really good these past few weeks, and he really has just said, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, sit your tuchus down. I took your job.
Look at me. Sure. Look at me. Sure. I'm the captain now.
Mahomes having an up-and-down game, but 320 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The offensive line still preventing any sacks on Patrick Mahomes, which is really good news for them. The Chiefs, I still think, remain the powerhouse in the AFC. They're the most consistent team. They can beat you with a variety of different ways, and now with the run game. And so right now, the Chiefs are staying at number 1. So to recap, at number 1, you got the Chiefs. At number 2, you got the Dolphins. Number 3, you got the Eagles. 4 Cowboys, 5 49ers, 6 Vikings, 7 Bills, 8 Bengals, 9 Jets, and number 10, the Commanders. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you feel should be in the top 10? Any of these teams should be out of the top 10? Let me know what you think. You guys find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.